Have you ever noticed that life has a peculiar habit of revealing itself only when we stop demanding answers from it? It's rather like standing beside a pond at night, holding a lantern, looking for the reflection of the moon. The more you wave the light around, the more the water ripples, and the moon disappears. But sit still, completely still. And the moon was there all along. You see, we grow up believing that life is a sort of treasure hunt. A constant search, a chase, a pursuit of something just around the corner, beyond the next achievement, behind the next door, and in this relentless seeking, we never realize that the very act of seeking disturbs the water. It shakes the mirror, it pushes away the thing we long to see. Now, when I say, when you stop seeking, the path appears, I don't mean you should become apathetic or lazy. Not at all. I mean that there is a deeply mysterious relationship between relaxation and revelation. Life is rather shy, like a cat. If you run after it, it vanishes. If you sit quietly, it comes to you, curls up in your lap, and purrs as if it had been waiting for you the entire time. Most people don't understand this because they've been trained from childhood to be seekers, seekers of approval, of success, of control, of certainty. We are taught that life is something to conquer, to master, to wrestle into submission, but this is an enormous misunderstanding. Because life is not an opponent. It is a partner in a dance, and the moment you try to lead too aggressively, the dance becomes stiff, awkward, and painful. Consider how you fall asleep. Sleep is, in many ways, the perfect example of this principle. You cannot force yourself to sleep. You cannot grit your teeth and say, "This time I shall do it. I will sleep harder than I have ever slept before." It simply doesn't work. Sleep comes only when you stop trying to sleep. And this is not a failure. It is a clue, a profound clue, about the nature of reality. The things that matter most, peace, clarity, love, awakening, arise not from effort, but from surrender. They are not seized, they are received. Think of the breath. You can hold it, you can push it, but the moment you relax, the breath flows naturally, effortlessly, on its own. And in that flow is the intelligence of life itself. You don't have to manage it. You don't have to supervise it. You don't have to seek it. It simply is. Now, of course, I'm not suggesting you abandon all aims and float through life like a leaf in the breeze. No, what I am pointing to is something subtler. The difference between seeking and exploring. Between grasping and opening. Between forcing and allowing. Seeking is born from the assumption that something is missing. Exploring is born from the realization that nothing is missing. You're simply discovering what has always been present. Imagine walking into a dark room with a flashlight. You shine the beam around, looking for the shapes of things, and you only see what the narrow beam reveals. But if you were to turn off the flashlight and let your eyes adjust, slowly the whole room would emerge. Softly, naturally, without effort. When you stop seeking, you begin to see. This principle applies not just to spirituality, but to almost every corner of our lives. Think of love. The relationships we most desperately chase often run away from us. The people we cling to tend to slip from our fingers like sand. But love comes naturally when we are at ease, when we are ourselves without pretense, without strategy, without that anxious urge to possess or be possessed. And what about meaning? So many people say, "I'm trying to find my purpose." But purpose is not something you hunt for with a spear. It is something that unfolds when you stop clutching at the future and start inhabiting the present. It's like walking through a mist. You can't grasp the mist. Your hands pass right through it. But walk steadily, lightly, and the mist reveals the path beneath your feet. There is, in all of us, a deep fear that if we stop seeking, if we stop grasping, everything will fall apart. But this is the great joke of the universe. Because everything you've been trying to control was never in your control anyway. And everything you feared would collapse without your effort is being held together by forces far older and wiser than you. Let me tell you a little story. Once, a man was climbing a mountain, desperate to reach the top. He strained, sweat dripping, fingers aching, lungs burning. Every stone was a threat, every gust of wind an enemy. And when he finally reached the summit, exhausted and trembling, he found an old monk sitting quietly, sipping tea. The man shouted, "How did you get up here so quickly? I saw no footprints. You must have taken some secret path." The monk smiled and said, "Ah, I did take a path. It revealed itself each time I stopped to breathe." Now, this does not mean the monk did nothing. He walked, step by step. But each step was taken without the frantic hunger to arrive. And so, the mountain became light. The path became clear. The summit arrived on its own. This is the paradox. The more you chase life, the more it hides. The more you let life happen, the more it unfolds. Your very effort to force clarity becomes the cloud that obscures it. Your very desire for peace becomes the agitation that prevents it. Let me offer another image. Imagine a river. If you jump into a river and flail your arms around, insisting on controlling every little movement, you will sink, not because the river is against you, but because you are against the river. But float, just float, and the river will carry you effortlessly. You do not drown by sinking into the water. You drown by resisting it. And so, when I say the path appears when you stop seeking, I am not offering you an instruction. I am offering you a description of how life already works. You don't have to make it true. You only have to notice it. Awakening is not an achievement. It is an accident. And meditation, relaxation, letting go, makes you accident-prone. Now, you may wonder, if the path appears when I stop seeking, what happens to my ambitions, my desires, my plans? A fair question, because you see, the paradox is that desire itself is not the problem. Wanting things, dreaming things, imagining possibilities, this is part of the human dance, the cosmic play. What entangles us is not desire, but the grasping behind desire, the insistence that life must conform to our scripts. There's a subtle difference between a musician playing because he loves the sound, and one who plays because he fears silence. One plays freely, the other plays desperately, and in the same way, you may move toward a goal joyfully, or you may chase it fearfully. The first is exploration, the second is seeking. Exploration leaves room, space for the unexpected, space for grace, space for life to answer. Seeking leaves no room at all. It suffocates the moment. Most people live their lives in a constant state of subtle tension, a feeling that life is slightly out of reach, slightly unfinished, slightly incooperative. They live as though there is an invisible checklist, and the universe has misplaced the final item. And so they push, strain, tighten, hoping that with enough effort, the world will finally click into place. But what if the world was never meant to click? What if the clicking happens only when you stop trying to make it click? This is why we often find clarity in the shower, in the car, while taking a walk, moments when we're not forcing the mind to perform. The mind, like water, clears when it is still. And so perhaps the deepest wisdom is not how to achieve, but how to allow. Let me offer another image. If you sit beside a river and place your hands gently into the water, the current flows around them effortlessly. But if you clench your fists and slam your hands into the stream, you create turbulence. The river was always flowing. The turbulence was your own making. Human suffering, in large part, is turbulence we create by resisting the natural flow of things. Time, for example, is not a line you must chase. It is a rhythm you can dance with. But people sprint through life as though time is running away from them, or toward them with a knife. Rarely do they consider that time is simply happening, moment by moment, and it is neither enemy nor ally. It is simply movement, and you are part of that movement, not separate from it. You do not stand at the riverbank of time watching the river go by. You are the river. And the river does not seek its destination, it becomes it. This is why, when you stop seeking, the path appears. Not because a deity rewards your patience. Not because the universe admires your surrender. But because your struggle was the only thing obscuring what was right in front of you. Let me take you into a deeper layer of this. The ego, that little voice inside your head narrating everything you do, is fundamentally a seeker. It thrives on pursuit. It needs problems to solve, quests to undertake, futures to fantasize about. It is the psychological momentum of not yet, always pulling you away from the present moment. The ego is not evil. It is simply a storyteller that forgot it was telling stories. It clings because it believes that without seeking, it would cease to exist, and in a way, that's true. But what a relief that is. Imagine the quiet that dawns when the storyteller finally rests, and you realize the story was never you. When the ego stops demanding a destination, the moment becomes spacious. And in that space, something remarkable happens. You begin to hear life. Not the noise of your thoughts about life, but the subtle hum of existence itself. This hum has always been there. The beat behind your breath. The pulse behind your heartbeat. The silence behind all sound. It's the same hum that guides a tree to unfurl its leaves. The same hum that carries the tide to shore. The same hum that draws a bird north when spring returns. It is intelligence without thinking. Movement without seeking. Direction without force. And you are not separate from that intelligence. You never were. But the ego, in its endless seeking, creates the sensation that you are alone, that you must figure everything out. Engineer every outcome, anticipate every danger, and the more you rely on this anxious management of life, the further you drift from the natural wisdom inside you. This wisdom does not speak in words. It speaks in balance, the same balance that keeps you upright when you walk. Though you never consciously calculate angles or forces. It speaks in intuition, the flash of knowing that arrives without effort. It speaks in stillness, the peace that emerges when you stop wrestling your experience. Have you noticed that the most profound decisions of your life often came not from thinking, but from clarity, a clarity that arrived the moment you stopped thinking? This is not a dismissal of the intellect. The intellect is a marvelous tool, but it is a terrible master. When you stop seeking, you are not abandoning intelligence. You are shifting from forced intelligence to natural intelligence, the intelligence of the body, the breath, the moment. Let me return to the path, the one that appears when you stop seeking. You must understand something crucial. The path is not a line stretching into the future. It is not a road waiting for you to discover. It is not even something you walk. The path is simply the unfolding of the present moment. And the present moment reveals itself only when you stop trying to control what comes next. Life is not a maze. It is an emergence. And emergence cannot be rushed. Picture a flower. It does not wake in the morning and say, "I must bloom by noon." It unfolds in perfect rhythm, not because it seeks, but because it is. We are not so different. The trouble is that we think too much about blooming and not enough about being. The moment you stop demanding that the flower open faster, the moment you stop prying at the petals, you realize it was opening all along. And so it is with your path. You don't have to find it. You don't have to chase it. You don't have to earn it. You only have to step out of your own way. And then, there it is. Quiet. Simple. Obvious. Like the moon in the still pond. You see, the great illusion, perhaps the greatest of all, is that life is something outside of you. Waiting to be reached, something distant, hidden, withheld until you solve the puzzle or prove your worth. But life is not a destination. Life is what is happening. Here, now, in this moment, in this breath. The path does not lead you to life. The path is life. And life is always appearing, always unfolding, whether you are seeking it or not. But when you seek too fiercely, you become like a horse with blinders, seeing only the narrow slice of reality framed by your desire. Everything becomes filtered through the lens of what you think you need, and so you miss the vastness around you. The sound of the wind, the taste of the moment, the subtle movement of things arising and passing away. You miss the very thing you're seeking, because you're too busy looking for it. Let me give you an example. Suppose you are searching for your glasses, and in your frantic desperation, you rummage through drawers, overturn cushions, accuse the cat, and curse the universe. You never even notice, the glasses were on your face the whole time. This is the predicament of the seeker. The more intensely he seeks, the more blind he becomes. Because seeking presumes lack, and lack blinds you to what is already present. When you stop seeking, you do not stop living. You begin living. Now, some people worry that without seeking, life will lose direction, that without something to chase, they will somehow stagnate. But think for a moment. Do the waves of the ocean stagnate? Do they need ambition, affirmation, or a 5-year plan to continue rising and falling? Of course not. Their movement is spontaneous, effortless, alive. And beneath the surface of your personality, your roles, your anxieties, your plans, there is a similar spontaneity, a natural rhythm that carries you, guides you, and expresses itself through you when you cease interfering. This is what artists call flow, what athletes call being in the zone, and what sages call awakening, the moment when the boundary between you and the movement of life dissolves. It's not a trance. It's not magic. It's simply the absence of resistance. Consider breath again. When you breathe naturally, you are not doing the breathing. Breathing is happening. When you walk naturally, you are not micromanaging every muscle. Walking is happening. When you laugh, you do not plan the laugh. Laughter bursts forth. Life is always happening. Seeking is the illusion that you must make it happen. Now, there is something wonderfully freeing in this realization, because it means you do not have to know what comes next. You do not have to chart the entire path before taking a single step. You only have to show up, receptive, aware, unburdened by the compulsive need for certainty. Think of it like riding a bicycle. If you try too hard to balance, you wobble. If you relax, the bicycle stabilizes itself. Balance arises from trust, not effort. In the same way, the path arises from presence, not seeking. And here we get to something essential. Seeking is always future-oriented. Presence is always now-oriented. The future is a mirage. You never arrive there. You only arrive in the now. And yet the seeker is perpetually leaning forward, as though the real moment is just slightly ahead. But it never is. When you lean into the future, you abandon the present. And the present is the only place where the path can ever appear. Let me take you deeper. Why do we seek? What fuels this pursuit? Fear. Fear that who we are is not enough. Fear that life will betray us unless we control it. Fear that without seeking, we will vanish, dissolve, become nothing. But what if becoming nothing is not the disaster the ego imagines? What if becoming nothing is the doorway to becoming everything? For you see, the moment you stop clinging to the idea of a separate, isolated self, a self who must seek, defend, achieve, you find that life is not happening to you. Life is happening as you. The wind rustling the leaves is not separate from the air in your lungs. The river flowing to the sea is not separate from the blood flowing through your veins. You are not a solitary organism wandering through a foreign universe. You are the universe, expressing itself in human form. And the universe does not seek. It unfolds. Your heart beats without your effort. Your thoughts arise without your command. Your experiences happen without your permission. So when you stop seeking, you are not stopping life. You are stopping the illusion that you were ever in charge of it. And in that surrender, you discover a kind of peace that cannot be manufactured. A peace that comes not from achieving anything, but from recognizing that nothing needed to be achieved. This peace is not passive. It is vibrant, alive, alert. It is the peace of a tree rooted deeply in the earth, swaying effortlessly with the wind because it does not fear falling. It is the peace of the ocean, rising and receding without ever trying to rise or recede. It is the peace of a child who has not yet learned to anticipate, to worry, to seek, a child who simply is. Now, people sometimes say, but if I stop seeking, won't I lose my motivation? Won't I accomplish less? To which I respond, you do not need seeking to act. Action arises naturally when you are in harmony with the moment. When hunger comes, you eat. When tiredness comes, you sleep. When inspiration comes, you create. Nothing forced. Nothing strained. Nothing pursued. The universe does not push. It dances. And you, my friend, are part of that dance, whether you know it or not. When you stop seeking, you begin to feel the rhythm. You begin to move with the music instead of against it. You begin to notice doors opening where before you saw only walls, not because the universe changed, but because you did. The walls were made of your ideas about how life should be. The doors appear when those ideas fall away. And then, quite suddenly, the path is there. Clear. Simple. Alive. Not leading you anywhere, but meeting you everywhere.